Welcome to Clinical Lab Chat, part of the MedCore Podcast Network. I'm Chris Wolski, Director of Business Intelligence for CLP, and today I'll be speaking with Bridget Bagnato, President of Specimen Management at BD Life Sciences, about a new breakthrough in blood diagnostics that relies on collecting just a few drops of blood from a finger stick, and that will dispense with, hopefully, with a good old venous puncture, which we'll talk about in a couple of minutes. Bridget has been with BD for nearly 25 years in a variety of roles, including with BD's surgery business, their diabetes care business, and medication delivery solutions. In her current role, Bridget is responsible for driving global strategic, operational, commercial performance, and customer experience across the specimen management portfolio. So, Bridget, I think we've come to the right person to talk about BD's new solution. So, welcome to Clinical Lab Chat. I'm really looking forward to our discussion today and what BD's new MiniDraw technology means for both labs and patients alike. So, before we get started, though, when I was reading the background I got on this, and it was kind of highlighted in this, I had a little bit of deja vu along with, they're telling me this. Because when I first read about this, the MiniDraw technology, it sounds a lot like the promises that Theranos made just a few years ago. So let's just get this out of the way right away. How is this different from the Theranos device?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I'm really excited to be here and talk a little bit about our BD MiniDraw solution. What I would say, it's really an apples to oranges comparison, right? BD MiniDraw, we've recently gotten FDA clearance back in the time frame, yes. And obviously, you're speaking with someone who's been at BD for about 25 years, but BD has been around for more than 125 years. So
right.
We're a category-leading medical and diagnostic company, and specifically in this space, specimen management, which is the business I lead, we've been innovating for just about 75 years with the introduction of our first evacuated blood collection tube, which was the first of its kind in the world. And so, to give a little bit of context, we manufacture more than 10 billion blood collection products around the world, and 82 patients every second are touched by our products.
Wow.
I think it gives a little bit of the background of how committed we are to this space and the investment around innovation and transformative solutions, which is what we're here to talk about.
Right.
And BD MiniDraw is specifically that. And, to kind of touch back on the FDA clearance, as a part of that FDA clearance, BD MiniDraw went through a rigorous number of tests, both from a safety and efficacy perspective, to demonstrate those reliable results on FDA cleared platforms. So that's just a little bit of the context of how we're bringing MiniDraw to the space.
Right, and the big thing, to get back to the Theranos part of it, the big difference is they never got FDA approved, and they certainly don't. As you point out, you have more than a century and a quarter of experience in providing medical solutions of various types, which we got a little bit of a taster of from your bio. All right, so got that out of the way. So I looked at, I of course did some background looking at this. The MiniDraw looks really cool. I of course go to the doctor on not regular basis, but yearly. And venous draws are, it doesn't bother me too much, but it's a big problem for a lot of people. So talk to me about how the MiniDraw works exactly, because if I understand how it works, it's pretty cool. And then why launch it now? Why do this?
Yeah.
Because venous draws work pretty good, so why do this?
Great question. So I'll tell you a little bit about our MiniDraw system, which is really poised to turn traditional blood collection on its head. And it's really because we're meeting consumers where they already are, to give them a more patient-friendly experience. Imagine going out to your grocery store, your local pharmacy to grab a carton of milk or a box of eggs, and you can, while you're there, get lab quality test results with just a few drops of blood from your fingertips. So to your point, the difference really is, normally when we go into an office, we'll get this arm-based venous blood draw that to your point maybe doesn't bother some, but 1 in 4 adults are actually find that to be a bit frightening. And so it's all about enabling a more convenient, patient-friendly, user-friendly experience, which then helps us open up access and help make sure people are proactively managing their care, right? So that's the promise of MiniDraw. And kind of on your second point, why now? And really the kind of center of that is blood collection should be easier and more convenient. We truly believe that. I think the pandemic, uncovered some opportunities on how we seek care as patients, and really this willingness to test in non-traditional settings, and that whole consumerism of patients so that they could be closer to their care and more proactive. I'll give you a little bit of an anecdote of my personal experience. So to your point, when you go and get your annual physical, last year I went to go get my blood drawn by my GP. They called me and they said, "Why don't you come in a week before, right? So that when you're here for your physical, you'll have your results ready." And I said, "That's a great idea." So you clear your schedule, you fast, you go in, and I went in and they drew my arm bait, my venous draw, and a couple of tubes, and then promptly a few days later said the courier didn't show up, so it never got tested, so we had to discard it. We're going to need you to come back. So, okay.
Oh, wow.
That's a bummer. So, you do the thing again, you reschedule and you fast. I go in for it the second time, and they said, the phlebotomist is sick. And so that was, right, 2 times. I finally got it on the 3rd time, Chris, but it took me another time to actually schedule the discussion with my GP on, those results and kind of what that meant for me. And like in all of that, there's got to be a better way, right?
Right. So
this is kind of bringing that better way to the forefront and again, meeting those patients where they already are.
Right. Now we've established that this is FDA approved.
Correct.
Can I go to my local CVS and pick this up, or we're not quite there yet?
So, like we mentioned, it's been recently cleared. We're gearing up for launch with our partner Babson, and we'll be in retail pharmacies later this year.
Oh, wow, that's great. Okay, so place the MiniDraw in the continuum of what the rest of the industry is doing. Are we poised? I think you kind of alluded to this. Are we poised for a real paradigm shift in the way samples are collected? Is this part of? Are you just BD might be leading the way, but is some of your friendly competitors working on the same thing, or is this kind of in the ether? Is this coming out of the pandemic? Because we all got used to doing these at-home tests, and we have the gene tests, and there's all sorts of tests now you can do at home. It just takes a little blood stick, and etc.
So BD MiniDraw really is a unique solution. And to go back to your question, there's a couple of irreversible forces we're dealing with in the market, and this is kind of helping in terms of all those tailwinds, right? So
right.
We talked a little bit about consumerization and smart connected care. We talked about this care that's shifting outside of the hospital to more convenient spaces closer to the patient, right?
Right.
And then last, the better management of chronic disease. And BD MiniDraw really helps on all 3 of those fronts. And so to me, that's why we are poised for that paradigm shift, because it's creating that enablement of patients, that more convenient access that helps us to deliver care quickly and effectively with great quality.
Right. Okay. Do you think that the pandemic, though, it seems like that's really where point of care, all the home solution stuff, this is something I just talk about all the time. We just ran a story the other day about this. Associate editor wrote, and it kind of touched on a lot of that too, where it's just this interest is coming from consumers, mainly because we're comfortable with it, and it's, as you said, it's convenient. Now, just personally, it's a quarter mile of a walk. It's a nice little 10-minute walk up the street for me to go to my CVS. That's where I walked up there and got my flu shot, my COVID shot late last year. It was great because I have to get in my car and drive up the road and make a whole bunch of, as you did with your blood tests, make a lot of things. So is that, is that part of it too? I mean, in terms of just the expectation, we expect this to be easy, to be at home, to be point of care, etc. Is that where it's coming from? A lot of it coming from?
Absolutely, that accelerated things, right, Chris? And I
Yeah.
think, whether it's vaccinations that are now happening at your local pharmacies, or even, us being able to drop off packages at local pharmacies. These are becoming hubs for the community. And more, I think during the pandemic, we found that, wherever we can probably keep more critically ill patients in the hospital and keep those more routine tests or routine care closer to home, right?
Right.
With some of the dynamics that came out and accelerated as part of COVID.
Right. Okay. So I talked when I did a little pre-interview with a member of your team, and one of the things we talked about was home collection. That really, this is opening the door. The MiniDraw is opening kind of the door that it will be similar to, these tests you can get, these one-off tests you can get that you can get sent, where you get the little finger stick and you do the little blood drop on the card. So that's a very easy thing. We're all getting used to that. We're all used to, swabbing ourselves and doing the COVID test. I did one not too long ago myself. It's routine now. I don't even have to look at the directions. And so is this opening the door for home collection? And then, and more importantly, are we opening the door to access, better access to healthcare and to testing?
So what I will say is that the device is not to be used. It's not intended for use in home collection, although we are exploring this space and opportunity. And I think obviously these dynamics we're talking about, more and more closer to home, I would say for certain is something we're deeply exploring.
Right.
And shifts are happening. So today, MiniDraw is not intended to be used in the home collection space.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. But the fact that you could go to a pharmacy and get it administered at a pharmacy, that certainly will open up access, because you don't have to go through all the rigmarole of making that test and driving across town, or whatever the case may be. It could be around the corner from where you work, or in my case, up the street from where I live, that improves access. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. So certainly ease of use, and the fact that also most people, I mean, we kind of touched on this. I mean, I think a lot of what, you see it with, I know it's a completely different topic, but you see it with colonoscopies. And I have friends who will not, I don't want to go through the prep. I don't want to go through all the stuff. I want one of those little things in the package where you just send it back.
Yes.
And, which, they have utility, but, they have certain limits as well. But they won't go, a lot of it, they won't go to the doctor. I don't like getting my blood drawn. I don't like, whatever other things that they don't like. So this certainly makes it less painful. I mean, a little finger stick isn't a big deal.
Right.
And, and you're not getting so much, you're not taking out so much. I mean, sometimes, as having gone through this, you're probably a little lightheaded after having to get all those blood draws. So it may encourage access. It may encourage more people say, "Oh, it's not that bad. I'll just go to the pharmacy and get my blood, the little finger prick."
To your very good point, it's just a prick of the finger, a few drops of blood, but you're still getting those results that are so critical,
right,
to proactively manage your health and care. And so doing that closer to home, or with settings that are nearer to where you are as a patient, then, right, effectively will improve access. And what I would say too is there's a number of other benefits, Chris, One is around when you're getting your blood drawn from the arm or venous collection,
Right.
it's required to be done by a nurse or a phlebotomist.
Right.
With BD MiniDraw, any trained healthcare operator, even a pharmacy technician, could do that. So, as we both know, staffing shortages have been
Right.
exacerbated in the healthcare system in the U.S. So, it's about how do we balance that healthcare a bit more so that we've got nurses and phlebotomists focus on the patients that they need to be focused on,
Right.
and really kind of look at more routine care in a much easier, more manageable fashion.
Right. All right. So we've talked about convenience. Certainly is important for access, but there's also cost. And we actually our cover story for our upcoming issue. We're talking about reimbursement for labs. But let's talk about cost reductions for patients. I mean, is this going to be access? A lot of people, unfortunately, a lot of people don't get adequate healthcare because it's too expensive. Will the costs be at least reasonable or lower for patients? And then what about labs? How does MiniDraw potentially fit in both into laboratory workflows and, more importantly, revenue streams? I mean, is this going to be? I assume you're working on some sort of reimbursement for this testing, or does it fit in? Does it fit into the existing testing CPT codes?
Right. So, let me maybe start with regard to cost. The way we think about it is in terms of total cost and use, and where we'll see those savings is first, like we mentioned, lower labor costs, because any trained healthcare operator can effectively utilize and deliver care with BD MiniDraw. Also, if you think about patients that may be difficult venous access, right? You think about patients with comorbidities, maybe diabetics or geriatric patients. When it comes to those types of patients, it's much easier to get a finger stick than it is to try to get a vein through your sub-Q, let's say. And so when it comes to that, less labor cost because it's a more quick and effective way of managing that blood draw. The other piece is when you think about the difference of BD MiniDraw was just a fraction of the size of a standard blood tube. When it comes to waste or biohazard waste, that is paid for in terms of weight. So you've got a lot less blood being drawn from the patient, which is great, but also being disposed of. A lot less blood that's being disposed of, which also generates savings as well. So all these things kind of commingled helps to effectively deliver the savings to that facility. And then in terms of workflow, BD MiniDraw is approved on common core laboratory analyzers that are found in major reference and hospital labs. So it would work in that normal work stream.
Oh, okay. Okay. So oh yes, we have this wonderful little I saw a picture. It's about what, a couple inches long, and but you don't have to buy a fancy new machine to go along with that. Certainly. Okay. Well, that's good. That saves you money there. So there you are. So okay. Well, sounds good. And all right. So we talked about the present. We know that the MiniDraw is coming out later this year. Do you have a approximate date? Is it third quarter, fourth quarter?
Yeah, we would say in the back half of the year. We'll start retail pharmacies.
Okay. And but what about the future of blood collection? I mean, certainly it seems like you're going in a little bit different direction here. So how does the MiniDraw fit into the picture for the future?
I think it's similar themes here. It's how do we stay connected to patients? How do we bring their care closer to where they are, as well as have them be key members and really proactively managing their own care. And so again, these irreversible forces that we talked about in terms of patients taking on more of their own patient-centered care, as well as that care being shifted outside of the hospital. We're on the precipice of that. In fact, BDX, we talk about three main innovation objectives. It's about smart connected care, it's about management of chronic disease, and it's about the shift of that healthcare setting outside of the hospital. And I see BD MiniDraw as a great way of delivering on all three of those for patients and customers alike.
Okay, well, great. Well, with that, unfortunately, we've come to the end of our time. Bridget, thanks so much for sharing your work with us. I'm really excited about the potential of MiniDraw. Even more so after listening to the potential we have here. And I also want to thank you, the laboratory audience, for listening. Look for more episodes of Clinical Lab Chat in the future. And visit us online at clpmag.com and on all of the major social media platforms. And until next time, be well.
Thanks so much, Chris.